This is Reel of Fortune, the ultimate movie challenge. Devin and Tyrone each pick a movie at random and dive into their thrilling and unpredictable reviews. Brace yourself for a whirlwind of cinematic surprises as we uncover hidden gems, revisit classics, and navigate the vast world of streaming movies. Welcome to Reel of Fortune.
Yes, that is the game where we pick two films, one for Devin, one for me, and we put it on a game of chance right here on the coin.
This is usually the part where we pick the genre from our comments, but you know what? Our last movie technically wasn't a horror film, so we're going to put horror back on the wheel, and hopefully we'll actually get an actual horror film instead of like a horror comedy thing like we got with Young Frankenstein.
I'm going to go first, and I'm going to pick Devin's streaming service. And your streaming service is Netflix.
All right. Promising.
All right. Now, your IMDb score.
But before you pick the IMDb score, don't forget, inside the jar for every IMDb score is the red coin. If we pick the red coin, whether I pick it or Tyrone picks it, the game is over, and we're watching an Olsen Twins movie. So, good luck.
All right. Let's go. Woo! It is less than 6.
Less than 6, okay?
Yes.
All right, that's bad. That's not good.
It's not good.
Things are not looking up. The game is already off already. Oh my God. My movie is going to be on Netflix with the IMDb score less than 6. Let's see what it is. My movie is Gerald's Game. That's a good movie. I like that movie. I've seen it before.
Gerald's Game? I've never seen Gerald's Game.
Are you playing?
Is this really what it takes these days?
God, how did we go so wrong? We were happy once, weren't we?
Gerald? What? What's happening?
Oh.
Gerald!
When her husband's sex game goes wrong, Jesse, who is handcuffed to a bed in a remote lake house, faces warped visions, dark secrets, and a dire choice.
Oh, I think I've seen little bits of this movie before.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've read the book. The book is fantastic. I've seen the movie. It is what it is. So, cool. Gerald's Game. I'm into it. I'll take it.
Okay, that is your film.
Let's pick a movie for Tyrone. We're going to start with the streaming service. Tyrone's streaming service is going to be Hulu. I feel like that's not good. I don't think there's anything good on Hulu, really.
It really isn't.
Hulu's not good. No. The game's already kind of effed up. All right. And then now for your IMDb score.
No, stop, get a red, don't get a red, don't get a red. Oh, God!
Less than 4? We have never selected something this low ever.
Oh my God, this is gonna be
Hulu,
so bad.
less than 4? Oh my God.
That selection is definitely going on a dumpster fire.
Whatever's gonna be, it's going to be ass. Less than 4, Hulu movie. Tyrone's movie is Insomnium?
Insomnium.
Okay. Everybody clear their minds.
Big money, let's go.
Is there anyone that wants to communicate?
As George investigates his roommate's increasingly disturbing nocturnal behavior, he suspects that his friend has become possessed by a dark entity. That sounds kind of interesting. Okay.
We got Insomnium on the dumpster fire. Okay. And we got Gerald's Game on the anvil.
These are the 2 worst reviewed movies we've ever had in this game.
Yes.
So,
all right. Ready?
Let's do it.
Woo! Gerald's Game! Okay. Gerald's Game!
Gerald's Game.
It is an adaptation of Stephen King's book by the same name. I didn't know what I was getting into when I saw this because I didn't read the book.
It's 100 times more freaky and hornier than you think it's gonna be. Like, you're like, what?
And horrifying.
Yes. Horrifying.
When we did a review of Midsommar, right? We said what is true horror, and everything in that film was true horror. Same here.
I totally agree. This is horror. Like, being in this situation is horrific, and the situation is not that outlandish. A middle-aged couple, they're on vacation, they're trying to spice things up, you know what I'm saying? They're having little issues in their relationship. So, you know, Gerald, the husband, I got the little blue pill, you know what I'm saying? Pop one of these bad boy, pull out the handcuffs, you know, and the wife, Jessie, she's got some brand new lingerie. She's like, I'm about to rock Gerald's world tonight, baby. But things to get started, and Gerald chains Jessie to the bed. And Jessie immediately is like, no.
I don't like this. I'm serious. Stop.
Like that, make it feel real.
Stop it.
Make me.
Stop.
You can fight all you want. Daddy's gonna get what Daddy wants.
Fucking stop it! Uncuff me now!
I don't like this game. Can you please unhook me? This is not fun. I'm not, this doesn't feel as freaky as I thought I would feel. I feel too vulnerable. I don't like it. And this starts an argument, which ends in Gerald having a heart attack and dying while Jessie is still chained to the bed. By the way, this little getaway, it is away. Okay, they in the middle of nowhere.
Ain't nothing little about it.
Yeah, ain't nobody coming except for the neighborhood dog. And this is it. To me, like you said, I think this is true terror. And I think this is what Stephen King does really well. He takes seemingly mundane situations and makes them awful. Makes them, gives you the bubble guts. I am a big Stephen King fan. I've talked about it a lot on this channel. So they change a few things from the book, but this is surprisingly very faithful to the book.
This film tackles a lot of like problems with Jessie. Okay. She has a dark past and things that has happened to her when she was a child with her father, and it is symbolized with an eclipse that happened when she was 12 years old, and her mother and her sister and her brother went out on a boat, stayed with her father back at the house, and you can already tell where that bull crap is going. And I was just like the movie had a hard stop. And that's in like the middle of the film where it's telling you where this is happening as a flashback, because she's chained to this bed. She got nothing to do but be there with her thoughts. Right. While the dog, by the way, comes into the house. So throughout this process of her being within her thoughts, she is seeing the reanimated, imagined image of Gerald coming up, talking crap to her. And then she has a condescending, but also helpful part of herself come out. This is barbarian before barbarian.
And I think what Tyrone means by that is barbarian. By the end of the film, you realize that the movie has a very strong feminist tilt to it, about how the kind of bullshit that women take, but men don't have to deal with, situations that would be absolutely, terrifying for a woman to be in, but less scary for a man. Those themes are very much in Gerald's game. Because like you said, now that Gerald's dead and she's chained to the bed and there is no one coming. There is no one coming.
All the maids
100%.
and the gardeners are gone.
Because Gerald makes sure they wouldn't be disturbed during their sexy weekend. So there is no one coming. She is going to die in this bed, as far as she knows. And she is sitting there losing her mind. And like you said, we learn one of the reasons why she immediately starts losing her mind is because she starts to think about, how did I end up here in the first place? And we learned that she had been chained to a metaphorically chained to a metaphorical bed since she was a little girl, holding secrets for men when she really shouldn't have. And that first man, of course, was her father. Her father did some very inappropriate things that I cannot describe here on YouTube without this video getting taken down. He did some effed up stuff. She wasn't physically raped, but mentally she was. Right?
Absolutely.
This was truly horrific.
That mental rape kept her mind inside of a cage.
Exactly.
And not only did it keep her mind inside of a cage, every single man that has approached her and has abused that.
Exactly.
In some form of way.
And this is symbolized by the eclipse, right? Her brightness, her sun has been eclipsed by the needs and wants of some man, right? She realized she's chained to this bed because of Gerald's pathetic 5 inches, she says, right? But
and he looks out the window,
he's like, well, okay. He didn't deny it. He was just like, all right, calm down now, calm down.
Men aren't so much blessed with penises as cursed by them. And we might die here today because of Gerald's 5 inches.
And she realizes that she was tricked as a kid or manipulated by her father to not telling anyone about what happened. And more than that, it wasn't just that one incident. She ended up devoting her entire childhood to protecting her younger siblings from her father, right? Truly nightmarish, truly horrific. That is real horror. When you know your father has an itch for little girls and you've got a little sister and you have to spend your entire life protecting her from your father. Holy crap, you know what I'm saying? And it's interesting how those events, while in her mind, she'd put them in a little box and threw them in the corner of her mind, they actually ended up coloring literally everything she did in her entire life. She realized Gerald was just like her father. He was an older man who was also a lawyer, whose needs came before hers. And she realized that not only was she the person who put herself here, she was the only person who could rescue herself. And that's where the entire movie comes from. Her trying to get unchained, both mentally and physically, from this bed.
Now, let's talk about the unchaining of the physically part.
The scene that Tyrone's about to describe, the book used the word degloving. a phrase that I can never forget. Degloving. I'll never forget that phrase. Stephen King has a thing for words.
It's already been like a whole day and a half going on to 2 days. And she is literally seeing Death himself.
Right. That is the book.
Death himself is coming to collect.
The Moonlight Man.
The Moonlight Man. Kind of like Smile, where you see some image in a dark corner. Dope! Dope, right?
Yeah.
And haunting. And
you're not sure if it's real. Because like you said, she's sitting on the bed, tripping balls. She's been talking to herself. She's been talking to her dead husband. She's been talking to the damn dog. And so now she's seeing a guy in the corner, and you're like, okay, well, I guess she's making that up too. But there's a footprint on the floor. And she's like, okay, I know I'm losing it, but that's a footprint. You know? And so it's unclear for a long time if she is actually seeing Death himself, or is someone else in the house?
While the dog is eating her husband, by the way, throughout this whole process, because they left the dang door open
and licking her foot, getting her ready. Jesse's laying on the bed, just like you said. Her husband's dead on the floor. The dog is chewing on her husband's face, and she's like, "I gotta get out of here." But first, I'm gonna die of dehydration before anything. And that's when she realizes that she always had all the tools she needed to get out of the situation. She remembers that her husband, because she took that little blue pill, right? He took it and then put the glass on the shelf just above her head. So she had to tip the shelf just right to slide the glass down into her hand and catch it so she can get a drink of water. And then she realizes the only way she can get out of these cuffs is if she lubricates her hand. Well, she ain't got enough water for that. What else around here could be used as a lubricant? And that's where she has that flashback.
When she was a kid, she cracked the glass because of so much stress, it cut her hand open.
Jesus.
right?
Right.
And she's
Her
split.
father went to hug her mother, but her father's hand touched her pregnant mother's belly. And that scared her because she understood what her role was going to be for the rest of her life. Protecting her little sister. And in that moment, she cracked the glass out of stress.
Out of stress. And it cut her hand.
Did you have a nice time with your dad, Jess? Jesus. Jess, are you okay?
And then it flashed to the current time. She looks up at the glass where Gerald put that up there before he croaked. So she has to cut her hand open from her wrist to her palm. And it is some of the most graphic thing I've ever seen in my life. So I did this. As soon as that little shard of glass got stuck in that wood and she was about to put her wrist in there and cut it open, I did, I did not look at it.
Until she's like, okay, I need blood. A lot of blood. To see if I can slide my hand out of these cuffs. And so she cuts her hand using a broken shard of that glass, cuts her hand across the wrist and up to the palm, and she slides her hand out of the cuff. But her skin gets caught on the edge of the cuff link, and it pulls a lot of skin. It pulls a lot of skin off. And her hand is, well, degloved.
Y'all notice as he's saying that, I'm just still closing my eyes. Because I don't normally get squeamish at a lot of things. Because I love practical effects in films. I love CGI that's done well to explain this. But this was like a big combination of both. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't look at that.
And the reason why I think you have such a visceral reaction to it is because she's not in a foreign situation. This is a situation anyone reasonable could find themselves in. And you're like, how would I get myself out of this? And damn it, I can't think of anything better. She locked eyes with a version of herself and she was like, this gonna hurt.
It's gonna fucking hurt.
And she a G because she didn't have no. You know how some people when some pain happens they have to bite down on something. She didn't bite down on nothing. Nope. She just went straight through it like childbirth.
Bite down on this, son. It helps. I know.
I mean, it was crazy
because she had two options. She could hurt her hand, or she could be dog food, literal dog food. Early in the week, we talked about Gran Turismo. Was there a situation where you felt yourself squeamish? Someone died in Gran Turismo. Did you feel anything at all? You felt a real emotion. That means the movie did its job. These movies are a manipulation machine, right? That's the point of the movie. And the movie worked. It did the thing. It did what it was supposed to do. And I find that to be fun. While this movie is very simple, right? It's literally a woman on a bed by herself for the entirety of the film, tripping balls. While it's very simple, it feels very personal. And it feels like there's a lot more going on in the film than what you're actually saying.
See, I was thinking in my mind, I was like, oh, maybe all the degloving was fake.
Yeah, I think that's it, because you don't trust anything now.
You don't trust anything, and maybe she reached for the keys, and then her hand phases through it, and Death already got her or something like that.
Right, me too.
But no, Death was in the hallway that was like, hey, you can leave, but I need something. Right. She gave him her ring, and 6 months later, she's writing this letter to her younger self because she's the only one that could understand what she went through. And her younger self's strength is what she had to tap into in order to escape. So not only did her younger self rescue her siblings, she also rescued herself. Yes, the Moonlight Man is actually a real psychotic person.
Right, someone who was actually breaking into houses. Right, and he was literally looking at her while she was struggling on the bed.
The last scene in this film where they actually caught the guy that looks exactly like the Moonlight guy, and she is flashing through Gerald and her father in the same jumpsuit, which I thought that was really good directing there. And the last line she says, he's like, "You're smaller than I remembered."
Right. He becomes symbolic for every man that she's had to be subservient to her entire life. That she kind of cut a piece of herself for every single man that she was around, including her father and her husband. And now she realizes that no, she was always more powerful than all these assholes, the whole time.
And then she walks out of the courtroom, and it's a great parallel to the other side, to where she's walking down the street with the sunglasses on, and the sun is beaming down on her.
No
eclipse at all.
Right.
Great writing, great storytelling, beginning to end through this film.
I think after she got off the bed, I feel like the movie took a dip for me. That was probably the least interesting stuff. I liked the stuff on the bed, but after the bed, it's essentially like a really long epilogue. A lot of that I wasn't as interested in.
Yeah, when she was stuck on the bed, it was way more interesting, to where you didn't think what was real. And the camera shot, man, the dude was going off in this editing and camera shots. Really cool editing and everything.
Yeah, and they did a lot of like jump cuts, and they did a lot of things that would break continuity in other movies, like broke film rules, to make things feel disorienting. She'll be talking over here at Gerald, but then Gerald's actually over here at the window, and then there's multiple. They overshoot her fake conversations with herself to make it more disorienting, which I thought was really good.
Yeah, and there was so many times where the characters are looking straight at the camera, and they're running their dialogue, and it's like they're talking to you, and you are the POV of either character.
And I really liked the flashbacks with her husband. With her father. Her father came across as just a horrific monster man. As an adult listening to the conversation, you're like, oh my God. But if you're a kid, you could reasonably follow what he's saying and thinking that he's not a villain. But him oh, maybe we should tell mom. And she's like, no, don't tell mom.
That reverse psychology
stuff.
He's
like, I can't say no to you, honey. All that bullshit, And now that she's an adult, she's looking back at it and she's like, my father was horrific. And she's looking back at Gerald and he's like, I never wanted to be chained to this bed. Why am I here? Why am I letting these men? Yeah, exactly. Why am I trying to appease this guy? I don't need to do this. We're not even in a particularly happy relationship. Like, what? And now I'm chained to a bed? Like, I really liked the conversation she was having with herself, the self-reflection, where she had no other option but to face the real monsters. And the real monsters, she had been living with them her whole life, And she was just ignoring them, pretending like she didn't see, pretending like she didn't hear that thing that her husband said that was super sexist, pretending like the incident on the swing set didn't actually happen. Truly nightmarish. Yeah,
with this film being a great adaptation of Stephen King, directed by Mike Flanagan, I think both of the actors did very well in this, and the eeriness of the Moonlight Man was really good in this. I'm going to give this film an A.
Yeah, I'm giving this one a B+. I like this movie quite a bit, and as a longtime Stephen King fan, there are lots of winks and nods to other Stephen King books. Like at one point, she's hallucinating on the bed, and Gerald says, all things serve the beam.
Everything dies. All things serve the beam.
If you ever read The Dark Tower, where the beam is these like beams of light that hold the universe in place, and you really only are aware of the beam unless you are tripping balls. So I liked how they have these little winks and nods towards the books. That was cute. As everyone always says, this is the most unoriginal thing a human could say. I like the book better. But I think the movie was still very, very good. They took a very uncinematic book where it's literally just a woman chained to a bed thinking. That's the whole book, right? And they made it into something much more cinematic. There are a couple really good Stephen King adaptations on Netflix. The other one is, gosh, I can't remember what it's called. It's called like 1900 something or another. It's a year, 1937 or something like that. That's also a very good one. So Netflix has a couple really good Stephen King adaptations, and I would count this one as among the best.
I'm not the biggest Stephen King fan, but when he goes off though.
I can say for someone who's read the book and has seen this movie at least twice, it was still just as effective as the first time.
So you recommend it?
I do recommend it. I think it's an easy recommendation because it's on Netflix. Like, you probably already have a Netflix account.
But more importantly, do you recommend this film? Get in the comments and let us know what you thought about Gerald's Game. Thank you so much for watching this review. We really do appreciate you guys. Our subscriber count is going up, and it's amazing to feel that all the time. I see it, and it's like, oh man, we got some more people. That's dope. So if you're new to seeing us, please do us a favor, hit that subscribe button right at the bottom, all right? And if you did like this rating and review for this film, please give us a thumbs up. Or you can give us a thumbs down, whichever you choose. It is your opinion, but just remember one thing, it is mostly wrong. See you in another video.